Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And my guest today is Angela Dulmes. Did I say it right?
Dulmes.
Dulmes.
Very
Okay.
close.
I want to make sure it's right, and I ask you and I still mess it up. So we're just going to call you Angela for today
That
because
works.
this is very casual, Angela. And like I said, we're just going to have a conversation and we're going to share your story about why you love motorsports. And so let's first start by learning a little bit more about you. So why don't you share about yourself, your family, that kind of thing?
I am Angela Dulmes. I have two grown kids. I work full time. I work for a sock manufacturer in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Wigwam Mills. I also have rental properties, and I manage my mom's rental properties. And on top of that, I am an official with the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing in Plymouth, Wisconsin at the Sheboygan County Fairgrounds. And I'm also an official with the MSA 360 group, the Midwest Sprint Car Association.
Okay. You're very busy.
I am very busy, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
It's good to be busy.
Yes, it is.
I mean, what else would we be doing?
Right?
We'd be on our phones or we'd be watching TikTok or we would be, watching TV or whatever. And there are days, Angela, that I would like to have just an hour to myself and then I think if I didn't do what I'm doing, I'd be so bored. And I love meeting new women and telling their stories. And so sometimes I just have to remind myself how lucky I am that I get to do what I do. And you probably are the same way because you wouldn't be involved in all those things if you didn't love it.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So tell me, motorsports, you're busy with it. You're an official. How did all that get started? How'd you get interested in motorsports?
My dad was always a big proponent of that back in the day. Before he had a family, he raced for a couple years, and otherwise he was on pit crews for his cousin. And we always were then, as a family, we were spectators. And he took us across Wisconsin, dirt track, asphalt, snowmobiles. He just exposed us to a lot of different types of racing. And it was in the 90s. And we went down to Hill's Corners and we saw a World Outlaw show, sprint car show. And I got hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And I have loved sprint cars since. So since about middle school. That is something that I just really enjoy. I do enjoy late models and Grand Nationals and modifieds. I will go to any type of racing event.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Sprint cars are where my heart is, but I love to learn. And I started with Plymouth Dirt Track Racing. My mom and my dad actually worked there. My dad was an infield push truck, and my mom was selling pit passes, and they needed help once in a while. And I had little kids at the time, so I would just help once in a while, selling pit passes, selling general admission. And then they like, okay, you can go watch the races. And I'm like, sweet, I would love that. And I just kind of got my foot in the door there with my parents, my dad especially. And I just kind of moved my way up from selling pit passes and general admission and ticket taking into being a pit steward. And from pit steward, working up into timing and scoring. So kind of a 20-year progression, I guess I would say. I think they figured out that I work in the accounting field. I think they realized I know numbers.
Uh-huh.
And I can figure out stuff kind of quick, not all as quick sometimes as everybody else wants it, but
yeah,
I can usually figure out a lineup.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so you have not been a driver.
I did one powder puff race.
Okay.
And I did one ride along in a sprint car at Knoxville. I got to go on the 2-seater.
That had to be fun.
Yeah, I would do that again.
Isn't that a great track?
Yeah, love Knoxville. Yep.
Yeah, I do too. So you're an official. So
Yes.
what is it that you do now? Like, you still do timing and scoring, and how did you learn it? Was it just kind of sat next to somebody and they showed you the ropes, or how do you become one of those people? Because that's not that every job's not important, but that's a pretty crucial job.
It is a pretty crucial job. And like you said, I questioned something at one time, some numbers, whatever it was. And the person in charge, Dave Moas, he kind of figured out I knew numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to do stuff. So at the time, our race program didn't have the capability to do passing points, of taking the passing points away. So I started there on Excel spreadsheets. I'm like, well, I can do this. And taking those passing points away and just doing verification. And then I just watched and I learned and I asked questions. And I want to say I was up there a couple years in the tower, and finally a substitute came in for hand scoring, and her name's Sheila Leamer. And we got to know each other. And after a while I said, can you just teach me how to hand score? Can you take me other places? And she goes, yeah, of course. And we've developed such a great friendship since then. And she has taught me so much. How to score, how to deal with drivers, things that are just going on, and how to hold yourself in a group sometimes, how to stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
So just putting yourself out there and just asking those questions and being available as much as you can. Working full time, it's not always easy, but we use our vacation days to go to the races to score, or even go watch sometimes. Just be persistent. If that's what you want to learn, just keep asking questions, because if you come up and ask me, I'll give you pen and paper and I'll let you hand score and figure it out. Because I think that's the best way to learn to start.
I bet it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving on in computer programs and whatnot, get your basics down. But I am so grateful to Sheila Leamer to take me under her wing and teach me and help me understand.
Well, and isn't that how it's going to work from generation to generation?
Yes.
That's what it takes. It takes somebody that shows some interest now in the next generation, and then you're going to train them. And that's just how it evolves. And that, it's just the same as kind of the racing, grandpa did it, dad did it, now I do it. And that's just kind of most of the time how it goes. More and more I see people, though, that got exposed in one way or another to some kind of racing and found out they loved it, and their family was never involved. And yet they find that they have a love for it, and maybe it'll be a numbers person that wants to score. You just never know.
Right. You never know. You have to give it a try. And I think it opens a lot of people's eyes once they come up by us and they see what we're actually doing. Yeah. We're not just, I don't rely just on the computer to do lineups. You got to figure that out on paper or on an Excel spreadsheet or however. Yeah. You have your backup systems. So,
well, because what if it goes down?
Yeah, if it goes down, you have to rely on your staff. Yeah. And as you said earlier, bringing up those generations, my daughter works with me in timing and scoring, which is sometimes interesting. I also have another girl, her name's Abby Coppers, and she wants to work for high level racing. Her goal is World Outlaws or High Limit. So I brought her in and I'm like, you want to learn? Okay. First, she was doing the running, and then I put her in situations where she was working with hand scoring. And this past summer, she was the one doing the heat races. She was the hand scoring. She was saying last lap, or putting them back in the racers back in order. You have to. Yeah. You have to give them that opportunity. So this year, we're going to grow them both a little bit and have them both on the transponders. And each maybe give them a division and hope they can evolve and
Yeah.
learn how to, run that transponder system and then line these racers back up and know the rules.
Right.
And stick to your guns.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all those things. So, first of all, I think a lot of people that go to the racetrack don't even think about the people that are up there in the tower, unless there's a bad call or, somebody gets mad about something, then they're all over the people up there, but until that happens, we take those people for granted that they're up there doing their job and they're doing it right. And so I just want to throw that out there that we shouldn't be taking those people for granted, because they're people, they're human, and they will make mistakes, not on purpose. And even if they're using the computer, a mistake could be made. How do you handle when something like that happens with, like, whoever else is in the tower with you? How do you handle when there is a mistake? And do you have to go back? What do you do?
If there's a mistake,
examples.
Yeah, if someone's questioning the lineup, if there's a mistake, first we look over everything. We just go back. I start from the beginning, and pull out my heat races, pull out whatever finishes I need, and then just make sure nothing. Computers aren't always reliable, but you certainly rely on them enough. And just double check your work. Maybe something was check marked incorrectly. Sometimes computers just do funky things. And you just go back through and you do that double checking. And you do it as quickly as possible.
Right.
While still having your next division going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to multitask for sure.
You do. You definitely have to multitask. And you have to have that staff underneath you, or with you, I should say, not underneath you. It's with you, because you guys, we're a team. We work as a team. Understand the lineups, and again, how to get those lineups if the system does go down, to do it by hand.
Yeah.
So you do your best. And sometimes, you know what? You just I learned this from Dakota Tennyson. Sometimes give me 30 seconds to save minutes down the road.
Right.
And I tell that to other guys. Like, sometimes the pit stewards want to send cars out right away. Just give me 30 seconds. Just give me 30 seconds and it'll work out. But just give us a little bit of time.
Right.
Don't rush us, because rushing doesn't help.
Well, and that's when mistakes are made, is when
Yes.
you're in too big of a toot. Just take a breath. Let's get it right.
Yep.
Yeah. So are you always in the tower, and are you always at the same track, or do you do it at more than one track?
I am always at Plymouth Dirt Track Racing, always in Plymouth, every time they race. And then I do travel with the MSA, the Midwest Sprint Car Association, the 360 division. So we've got 5 or 6 away shows coming up this year in 2025. So I will go with them, and we go to Outagamie Speedway in Seymour. We'll go to Dodge County, in a couple of counties down from us. We'll go to Angel Park. And sometimes that traveling will teach you more than just being at your home track. So I encourage people, yes, get your footing, but then travel and learn and ask. Ask if you are interested and you've got a good footing. I will bother Dakota Tennyson and be like, hey, can I come up and watch you or score with you? Or just sometimes I get that one last tidbit that's like, oh yeah, that would make our event so much easier.
Right.
So
yeah, because every track is different, and they all have probably different equipment, different setup, different drivers, a different way of doing things.
Yep.
And so in order to be really good at your job, being able to do things differently, or like you said, pick up a little tidbit that's like, oh, I never thought of doing that. That would be great. That has to be such a benefit of the traveling part.
Yes. Oh, yes. And learning to score from outside the track and inside the track. It's different. It just is. And people don't realize that either. How, you're used to cars coming from your left, but now all of a sudden you got a traveling track like Angel Park, and now the cars are coming from your right. So it takes a little bit. Yeah. A little bit of getting used to.
Right. But it sounds like, and I can't see you today. We're having a little video issue, but in your voice, I can hear how much you love it.
I do love it.
Yeah.
I do.
Why? Why do you love it?
I love the people. I love, I've made so many friends through racing. I've made so many new friends through racing in the past couple of years. And I love racing. It's brought some confidence back to me. I'm older. I just turned 50. And you know what? 2025, I'm putting myself out there. And I am going to ask questions, and I'm going to maybe being a pest and figuring stuff out and just asking. And I just love it. I just do. I love being up and timing and scoring. I like figuring that stuff out. It doesn't always work your way, the way it should sometimes, but you work through it. And by the end of the night, you did your best work. You did your best effort was put forward. And if you're a math person, which I'm a math person, okay, I always was. I love when everything is even and you have the zeros, and I love all that. Okay, I think you do too, because I can just tell. So when things work out the way they should, and everybody's lined up like they're supposed to be, and all those things go well, it's a very satisfying job well done. Yes, it really is. Yeah, it really is.
So you work, you have all these things going on. How do you keep a balance in your life? Your kids are older, but you still have laundry and groceries and things to do at home, and you work, and then you travel, and then you go to the racetrack and probably go to church and do other things. So how do you keep a balance in your life? How do you manage it all?
I've learned to just let some things go. And some things just can't be as important as they were. I can't vacuum every day, and that's okay. My house between April and September, it has a lived-in look. And, I was on Facebook end of the season, and somebody said, oh, I can't believe the racing's done, and what are we going to do with all of our time? And I said, I'm going to clean my house. And I'm going to get organized. And that's a big thing, is being organized. Yeah. And I'm a big list writer. If I know I want to accomplish things, I make a list. I find satisfaction in crossing stuff off.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. You have to be organized to do what I do. And that's in accounting as well. You have to be organized. You have to keep your files in line. You have to keep your records in line. You just have to be organized. I think
that's part of the reason. And I'm same as you. I make lists. I cross them off. I make lists of my lists.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of our DNA. The accounting piece, the organized piece, the making the lists. If I didn't know better, you'd be talking about me, because that's me all over. and if my house is a little messy, or I haven't vacuumed in a few days, oh well, it'll be there when I get to it. But this has to take priority because it's more important than the vacuuming.
Yep. Yeah. I threw something new on myself this year with MSA. Sheila is leaving. She's not going to be their head scoring anymore. And the team from Plymouth, we're going to try and be the head scoring. Oh. So that'll be interesting to take that on as well. We'll see how that works out this year, and keeping track of points. And That's
So now
something.
that doesn't conflict then with Plymouth. Plymouth doesn't race maybe the same day that the sprint cars are racing.
So MSA races at Plymouth most Saturday nights or
Oh, okay.
Fridays, and then
Okay.
they do traveling besides. So it does
Okay.
not conflict. So I
Okay.
have that flexibility, that ability to do that. I'm very fortunate. And my boss, where I work in accounting and at Wigwam, she's super flexible. She knows that racing's important to me. My mom's important to me to make sure she's taken care of. Kids are important, so I have flex hours. I'm
That's
very
great.
fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of more of a thing nowadays. And with so many ability to work from home and to connect in, it makes it so much better that we can be more flexible for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So on let's say you've had a really bad night in the tower, which I never wish on anybody, but let's just say you do. What do you do? How do you handle it?
Well, generally after the races are done, the crowd's gone, we're still cleaning up, and we discuss. We sit down as a team and we just talk. Up in the tower or down below under the grandstand, we just have a discussion. This went wrong. How could we do better? This went wrong. How could we do better?
Mm-hmm.
And we maybe just go have a drink. Not the young kids, but Erin Doherty works with me up in the tower as well. She's part of the team, and we'll just go grab a drink and just relax and just do our best. And you know what? If somebody has a question and it's a bad night, you answer them the best you can. And if you messed up, you tell them, you know what? I messed this up. It wasn't intentional. And I will do my best next time to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. And I like hearing that because, hopefully, like I said, hopefully you don't have this happen very often. And honestly, the tracks I go to, I don't see it happen very often at all. But we know it does happen. You get distracted or for whatever reason the person does. And, I have seen drivers charge up the steps to the tower only to not be able to even get in because the door is locked. So I know it happens, but what I think people need to understand is that the people in the tower are people, and they're doing the best they can. And to that one person, it's a huge deal. And yet, 99% of the time it's right. And we couldn't get along and we couldn't race and do what we do without those people. So it goes back to being considerate and understanding that everybody is trying to do the best they can. The flagman, the tower, the race director, everybody at the track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't discourage people from working up in that tower, from timing and scoring.
Right.
We are not the World Outlaws. We are not High Limit. This is not something I do for my full-time job.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm relatively good at, and I'm still learning and evolving. I work with Dakota Tennyson. I have a good relationship with him. I'll ask questions and, hey, can you show me this? And just to make it a better program. Yeah. And the other thing is I do watch the crowd somewhat when I can and see what's going on. A big pet peeve of mine is people standing on the railing. Mm-hmm. They're standing in front of other people sitting down. Not everybody can stand.
Right.
So I will call another person over and be like, please tell that person to sit down. Yeah. Just go sit down. You paid for your seat. Go sit in your seat.
Yeah. Or go somewhere else, but not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go stand, go down in turn one. Go, if you've got a pit pass, go in the pit. Don't stand in front of some gentleman or some lady who, wants to go to the races, gets there, but maybe can't make it up 10 rows. Mm-hmm. Do not stand in front of people.
Right.
It's just rude.
Yeah. Well, and it takes everybody at the track kind of keeping their eye out for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why they have staff that are working the grandstands and do all of that.
Yeah.
So Angela, do you see yourself doing this for another 10 years or whatever? Because it just sounds like you're really enjoying it.
I would love to continue to do this. I would love to grow and expand and have more opportunities. I'm a little bit limited with my mom's care right now, but I really think I could do well in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, 2025 is my year of putting myself out there. And I think this is a path I would like to follow and explore more. I really think, yes, I will be doing this. And I have conversations with my friend Jeff, and we always talk about, well, at our track, the track that we have in our minds, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And I really enjoy this. I really do. I enjoy this more than accounting by any means. I do. I enjoy the people. Sometimes I find myself taking care of people up in the tower. Like, did you eat? Did you drink? Are you good? Do you need to go to the bathroom?
It's family. It's your family.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoy the relationships that I've made, the friendships that I've made. And again, if I could just keep growing myself.
Yeah.
It's my turn. It's my turn to grow.
There you go.
And learn. And I've raised my kids. I've gone through the schooling. I've raised my kids. And now it's my turn.
So what do they think about you doing this? Are they race lovers?
My son actually is on the crew for track prep.
Okay.
And my daughter works with me up in time.
Oh, yeah, you said that. So she does, yeah.
Yep. But they don't love it like I love it.
Mm-hmm.
They, I'll be like, hey, you guys want to go see the World Outlaw Show down at Beaver Dam? And they're like,
yeah.
Okay, see you guys. I'm going. Like,
right.
This is my love. And my partner, Brian, he loves racing just as much as I do.
Yeah.
And we just really enjoy it. Enjoy meeting our friends. And and sometimes I will go to a track and they'll be like, hey, can I ride in your push truck if I'm a spectator, in the pits or whatever? Hop on in. You get a different perspective. Get to hear.
And you can do that at Knoxville during Knoxville Nationals. They let you ride in the pit trucks.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah. Well, they used to when I haven't been there in the last couple of years, but prior to that, you could, when they're out there preparing the track, you just go up and ask them and hop in.
Okay.
I saw lots of people doing it. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We always go to the Nationals. We have gone to the Nationals for the past 7 years. And it's like Christmas in August. All of our family comes together in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And we get to see each other and have fun and enjoy the races. And sometimes I don't always enjoy the races as a spectator. Sometimes it's just a lot of more people and my mind's not as engaged, I guess you'd say, but I still love it.
Yeah. And that's a great atmosphere to be in, and all the people selling their stuff and the food and just everything. It's, I have a friend that lived in Pella for a few years. And so I would go and stay with her, and her husband actually worked he was on the safety crew at Knoxville.
Oh, Lori and Charlie.
Yeah. Do you know Lori and Charlie?
Yep.
Okay. So, and I had so much fun going and staying with them. And then we'd go to English Creek and watch the kids run. And I loved going there and hanging out with them. So that was fun.
The past couple of years, I've gotten the opportunity to work in timing and scoring for the Oskaloosa Challenge.
Okay.
A front row challenge. That was fun. And I don't want to get paid, but I just learned stuff.
Yeah.
And you get yourself in a different environment, a different type of lineup.
Different drivers.
And I didn't have to be the one in charge.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily in charge, but watching it all, I got to learn and experience. And I need that. You need that once in a while to go back to school, I guess you'd call it. And refresh your reflexes and your memory and learn new stuff. Yeah.
Well, and things are always evolving. And so it, never hurts to see what somebody else is doing, like we talked about, learn from others for sure.
Yes.
So have you had any advice from anybody as far as what you're doing, how to handle people, anything like that at all?
Lots of advice. Advice I can say.
Okay.
The pausing, giving me 30 seconds so that you don't mess up, so you're not rushed. That's a big piece of advice right there.
Yeah, it is.
Big piece of advice. Or how to figure out how to give yourself those 30 seconds, whether it be unplugging from the decoder box for the transponders or just having the pit steward just hold them off for a little bit. That is the biggest piece of advice I would say for someone.
Yeah.
Another thing is listening to everybody and taking it all in, listening and understanding their point of view. Doesn't mean it's what you're going to go do, but understanding where they're coming from, drivers, car owners, from the track side, from the officiating side.
Yeah.
I've been diving more into other podcasts like Dirt Tracker and the Drivers Project, and just listening.
Yeah.
Taking that in and trying to become a better official. And I listened to Mike Hess. I was listening to him and he goes, you know what? I mess up. Yeah. I just have to admit it when I do it, and then you move forward.
Right.
And everybody will respect you more for it. And I'm like, you know what? He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And when I do go to Knoxville, and they have the seminars, I go to them and I ask questions and I raise my hand and maybe not be a pest, but be a best.
Yeah, but that's why they have them. They want you to do that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not so much afraid anymore to put myself out there and just ask questions. And I took Abby with me because she wants to go on and up. And I took her with me this last year and I said, how do I grow her? What do I need to do to grow her? She's the one who really wants to move on. She's the next generation.
Yeah.
And I got some great advice from Steve Sinclair and Mike Hess. And, just keep putting yourself out there and keep working locally and traveling when you can and connecting, networking.
Absolutely. That's a huge part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So do you have a favorite memory of something that happened or something funny that happened or anything like that of all your time here in racing?
My favorite, and I have a picture of this. I'll try and send that to you.
Okay.
It's my dad and I in the infield leaning against his push truck during the races.
Yeah. That
was the best. That was the best. And it gives you another perspective too of the infield.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart sometimes.
No, that's a dangerous place to be at times.
Yeah. Yep. You got to watch where you're at. But that's my favorite memory is with my dad at the race.
That's a good one. That's a really good one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would, a lot of times I'll ask about social media. Do you share what you do and things on social media about working up there and your experiences and that kind of thing?
I do. I will take pictures. I will be that goofy one to make everybody turn and smile at me. You guys turn and smile. We're taking a group picture, because we might not get to be together again.
You never know. That's
you
right.
don't know what's going away or what would happen tomorrow. So take that picture, have some fun, and work together. That's another thing I learned was working together with other series.
Good idea. Yeah.
With the IRA, we weren't always cohesive up in the tower. And I feel like once I got up there and I started asking them questions and seeing how I could help them and learning from them and having them even like, hey, how do I get this to work on my computer? we have grown as a family.
Oh, that's awesome.
We help each other out. We have we text each other throughout the night if we need something.
Yeah.
And I feel like I helped grow that and helped see the potential there to learn from them to help us, for us to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really proud of that as well. That's another favorite moment when we got to know each other better. And now we see each other, on Facebook, and we all take pictures together, and we're all in our different officiating shirts. And
sure.
But who cares? I mean, we got to work together. And, what do you need? What do you need from me? And what can I give you? How can we help each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A good, it's kind of along these lines is what's your legacy going to be? And you kind of just answered it, but maybe you have a little more you want to add to it. What's your legacy going to be when you're done?
My legacy is growing the next generation and networking, bridging those gaps between series, bridging those gaps between people in general. We're all have the same common goal. We all want to enjoy the races, and we all want it right.
Yeah.
How can we be friends? Let's be friends. Let's work at this together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not put each other down. And that's another thing on social media. Let's not put each other down.
Right.
Help me put on good races. Help me prove to my boss that I'm worthy of being up in that tower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I'm going with this, is that I'll be the next one in line. And maybe I'm not. Maybe that's totally off. But let's work together. And that's my legacy, that I could bridge gaps and I could bring that next generation up and push them forward and it's what I didn't have. So, that mom effect, where I want them to have better than me. So if you're really interested and you're committed, I'm going to help you as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my legacy.
Yeah. I love it. That's great. So Angela, what have we not discussed about you, your career at the track? Anything at all? What have I missed? What have I not asked you about?
That is a good question. What have you not asked me about? I don't just do racing. I do once in a while. Like right now I'm watching a series on Hulu. Like sometimes you just have to take a break.
Right.
I enjoy scrapbooking. I enjoy feeling that paper and the pictures.
Me too.
Sometimes you just need to get away from social media, from digital, from TV, and you just need to look at those memories. Mm-hmm. I think that helps your mind as well as your soul.
It's relaxing.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I just did a podcast with a lady in Australia, and she said she's a crafter too, as I am. I'm a huge crafter. And she was telling me what she made. And I said, oh, do you have a Cricut? She said, yes, I have a Cricut. And so then we kind of got on to the crafting, but it's enjoyable. And the thing about, I think, crafting, scrapbooking, and racing, why they go together so well is because every driver or every family wants pictures and wants to keep those memories of the racing years.
Yep, they do. Yep.
For sure.
Yes. Yeah. My kids' scrapbooks are full of racing pictures. With my dad in the infield, like after the races, or them by their favorite driver, or them sitting in the car of their favorite driver. And maybe they're sick of it, but oh well, too bad. This is what mom did. So
yeah. And you know what? It'll mean more to them at a later point.
I hope so, because I put a lot of work into it.
I know, and it's not cheap to do it either.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So no, I do that too. And I send a lot of cards, which you'll find out. I send a lot of cards with pictures of race people on the front, like your birthday card or whatever. And there's nothing better than getting a card in the mail with a picture of your race car on it and a nice note that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
And I get notes from people all the time. I'm never throwing this card away.
Yeah.
So fun. And it's so easy for me to do. I use send out cards, and I just absolutely would never use anything else. It's awesome. So that's
Nice.
I do want to ask you one thing about social media. So when I'm sure the racetrack has good and bad, you've got all those keyboard warriors that think they know everything, that get on there and criticize and that. Hopefully you don't have that very much. Is that something that you really ever have to deal with at all, or not so much?
I go on social media and I look at all the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And I do not respond to the negative ones.
Right.
But I will stick up for myself.
Good.
I think people need to, I want to say nicer, but they need to have a broader understanding of what goes on.
Well, they need to be educated too, because
Yes.
they don't know what goes on.
Exactly. And if you want to find out what it's like up in that tower, come find me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you what it's like up in that tower.
Yeah.
So social media, I don't respond to them.
Yeah.
But I will discuss it with my boss, Dave Mose, and I'll be like, did you see this? And
yeah.
Should we, if it's a driver, should we do anything about it? Or do we just let it go? Or do we have a conversation with them? Do you penalize them? What is it? And if it's a person that's just a fan, like, do you block them? Do you leave it? They have their own opinion, and that can be their opinion, but is it appropriate? You just have to have those conversations. And I'm learning. I am completely learning about it, and I have to learn not to get completely upset.
Well, and I love a response that says, I would like to invite you to come and be on my pit crew one night so that you can see what it takes for me to be out there to race.
Yeah.
Or I would like to invite you to come and work in the concession stand one night so that you can see why it takes us so long to get your hot dog.
Yep.
Because until you've walked in those shoes, you have no clue.
No.
And I think that kind of shuts people up. And you don't hear too much more after that. So, Well, Angela, I have really enjoyed talking to you. I interview so many drivers. Really, that's the majority. But I love when I can talk to someone who is not a driver, but who is a very integral part of a racetrack and what goes on there, because too many people don't understand and don't think about all those people that, are working at that racetrack so that I can come and watch a race.
Right.
It's not just drivers, it's all kinds of people.
Yes.
And this is a good reminder for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I signed myself up. I thought, you know what? You see a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
But you don't see too many officials. So I'll put myself out there.
I'm
Maybe I
glad.
can make a more networking connection or something.
Yeah. There you go. And you're putting yourself out there, and that includes your first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that you took the time and put yourself out there to share what you do and how important it is on the show, because I think it'll be a good reminder for a lot of people.
Yes, I hope it is.
So you hang on after we finish the recording. I've got a couple things to ask for some paperwork, and then we'll go about our evening. So thank you, Angela, for being on the show.
All right. Thank you, Melinda.